Hi, and welcome to Your Stars Within. I'm Little Wave, and this is the second of our house series. We're going to talk about the second house today. Now, I want to repeat for those who didn't watch the first video that it would be best if you pulled up your chart so that you know which placements apply to you. I made a video called How to Find Your Big Three. I'll link it here. And in that video, I walk you through how to go on the websites and pull up your chart. It's free. It's not that complicated. It might look complicated for a minute, but I really walk you through each step. So I strongly encourage you to do that. If, however, you do not want to, or it just seems like too much, I am offering for $12 because of the 12 houses. I'm offering a $12 service of just looking it up for you and sending it to you in a really easy to understand format, which planets are in which houses and what signs. So if that's something you're interested in, go ahead and send me an email and I'm happy to get that done for you. Okay, so again, the houses are based on your time of birth. If you don't know your time of birth, we cannot know your houses. The star rising at your time of birth is your rising sign or your ascendant. Those words are interchangeable. That begins your first house, and it moves around in order from that point, whatever sign that is. So that's going to tell us about the different areas of life. The houses represent the areas of life. So two people born on the same day will have certain planets in the same sign, like Saturn in Libra or Pluto in Scorpio. But where those come out in their life, what house, will be different because that's based on their time of birth. So one may have it come out in their 7th house of partnership, and the other may have it come out in their 5th house of children, and another person could have it in their 10th house of career. Okay? So that's why the houses are really important. So I'm going to walk through each planet if it were in the 2nd house and how I would interpret that. Now, of course, if it has difficult or easy positive connections with other planets, that will alter the interpretation. The sign that house is in will also tell us something. But I don't want to get that complicated right now. I just want to stick to the planet in the house because my understanding is that most people have understood their signs and that they maybe are understanding the planets well enough, but then understanding the house is where everybody goes, ooh, I'm confused. So that's what I want to help with right now. Okay? All right. So the 2nd house. The 2nd house is naturally ruled by Taurus. Okay? 2nd house, 2nd sign. Now, your 2nd house is probably not Taurus, but conceptually that house is similar to Taurus. And so it rules similar things. Material, wealth, security, also pleasure, and self-worth. I think self-worth is a hidden meaning in the 2nd house that I have seen very repetitive in people who have planets in the 2nd house. So I think that that's something to really sit with is it's not just material. A lot of interpretations out there focus on the material aspect, but there's the self-worth aspect that I think is really deserving of some attention with the 2nd house. So, if your sun is in the 2nd house, that tends to be, remember your sun is how you lead, how you present to the world. So you may tend to present with your possessions. You may tend to present with, look what I'm worth or look what I have. Even if it's like fun things, like, oh, check out this new toy I've got, right? But you present to others when you meet them with kind of showing off your material possessions. That's where you're comfortable, that's where you shine, that's what you tend to shine a light on. Okay, you tend to be proud of your materials and tend to be identified and find it very important to have those materials in your life. In terms of self-worth, your self-worth may be too connected to those materials, or you may draw people to you who are more interested in your material possessions because that's what you're leading with. So you may say, boy, why do people seem to want me for my material possessions? But you need to ask yourself, are you presenting that way? Because if you are, then people who are not interested in that may be turned off. And that may be why those who are in your life were drawn that way. The moon. If the moon is in your second house, this is going to make you a person who has a strong need for material security. You're going to tend to want, like, even if you had a decent bit in your savings, you're still going to have this, like, oh, but what if? We should save more. This little bit of hoarding or holding on to, this fearfulness of not having enough. There's an instinctual reaction, maybe from the family history that you're coming from, maybe from past life, where you just have this sense that you need to be physically and materially safe. You may also tend towards finding people who make you feel very physically safe. They might be big or, kind of protective in some way, or you may have a lot of need for self-protection. Mercury is your intellect, remember? So when we put Mercury in the second house, we get a person who sort of naturally understands business. They get it, they know how to use it, they know how to it just comes to them naturally. They understand business, they understand how to make money. It's not really a difficult thing. They can kind of walk the walk and talk the talk. If there's some negative aspects to Mercury here, you might be manipulative in business or have a tendency to gaming a system, right? You might kind of see some little loopholes, know how to use that type of thing. When we put Venus in the second house, remember Venus is beautifying, so you tend to attract money to you. You may attract a partner because Venus is ruled by Libra, right, of partnership, so you may attract a partner who has money. You will also tend to spend money easily as well. And you'll want to spend money in beautifying things. So there tends to be this easy come, easy go with Venus and money. Self-esteem seems to be positive with this placement. This is a helpful piece to self-worth. And I think helps you to attract a partner of high worth. Mars, when we put Mars into the second house, Mars is your motivation, right? Your drive. So Mars is going to tend to want to work for yourself, want to make your own money, want to be in charge of the amount of money you make. There's probably not a boss in the world that can pay you what you think you're worth type of attitude. You're motivated to meet money. You could be rash in your decisions, either of this is how I'm going to make money, or depending on what sign, let's say this is in Gemini or something, you might have a tendency oh, I'm going to go into real estate, I'm going to start this class tomorrow, right? Where you're kind of just quick and rash, but sort of money focused. So you could use something that maybe helps you to not be quite so impulsive here. It could also be some impulsive spending. Jupiter in the second house, Jupiter generally brings good luck. It's benevolent, it's jovial, things like that. So, you could have money that comes in, you could be born into money, you could have good luck with money. You could tend to be a spender, probably generous with money, regardless of how much you have. And things like law, education, foreign affairs, those would all be good areas for you in terms of making money. Saturn. When we talk about Saturn, we know that Saturn is the taskmaster, right? He makes you work for it in this lifetime. You got to work hard. So we tend to see results be what we call delayed. But I don't know if they're really delayed. You actually just have to work for them. You're not bringing in all this karma from a past life that helps you. So you got to do the nose to the grindstone, hard work in this life for whatever Saturn touches. So if your Saturn is in the second house, you're going to have to work hard for your money. It will probably be slow to come, slow to success. What may feel like a delayed career, delayed success. But the hard work, it will eventually pay off. You may not be wealthy, but you will likely be steady. And you're also likely not wasteful. In terms of self-worth, people with Saturn in the second house, what I want to say to you is you don't need to work so hard to be loved. You don't have to earn love. You're already worthy of love. And so there tends to be this, wound or restriction around feeling like I have to work hard. I have to prove my worthiness. And in turn, what happens is you attract partners who maybe don't see your worthiness or who, want you to work hard for that worthiness. And that's never what love is supposed to be. You're already worthy. But as long as you function as if you have to earn your love, you will continue to find people who are very conditional or tit for tat kind of people with love, right? The withholding of it until you earn it because it's mirroring that belief of yours. So if you're seeing that in your life, I want you to think deeply and think about affirmations, about going inward to that unconscious place where you can say to yourself, I am worthy of love. I don't have to work for it. I don't have to earn it. There's nothing I can do that makes me deserve it, and there's nothing I can do that makes me not deserve it. Okay? So Saturn in the second house, as you resolve that belief around worthiness, I'm worthy of love, I'm worthy of money, I'm worthy of success, the more you resolve that, the more this will flow towards you. That's the restriction. When we get Uranus in the second house, that is, Uranus is eccentric, it's unusual, it's unstable, right? So Uranus is going to give you a lot of ups and downs. You may tend to invest, right? And those investments sometimes will pay off big and sometimes will be big disappointments. You'll tend to probably have an instability with money throughout your life. You'll win big, lose big. But you will tend to also eventually probably find a unique income source for yourself that's very fitting to you and your uniqueness. You may be an inventor. You may be drawn to computers or technology. And when we talk about Neptune in the second house, Neptune is very, ethereal and foggy and spiritual. It's not the best placement for in the second house. So it can make a person who's very impractical with their money or impractical with their plans to make money, easily fooled. They may get swindled by others. They may see money as belonging to all. It's not my money, it's the money, right? Or I don't need it, give it to who needs it, which would be a lovely way to express that energy. These also tend to be people who could easily dissolve the entire concept of money. And if this is maybe an Aquarius or something that would give you some strong beliefs and things that you would fight for, you may feel like money should not exist. And you may want to rid yourself of that system. When we think about Pluto in the second house, remember Pluto is transformative. Pluto is like the phoenix rising or the butterfly, right, coming out of the cocoon. But it's the whole process. It's not just the rising, right? It's the whole process. So probably how you make money will go through transformations. Your attitudes towards money will probably change many times in this life as you figure out money and worth and who you are around that type of stuff. Will probably have a lot of deep transformative pieces. You will transform a lot within money and self-worth. They will be important topics in your life. And you may be tested. You may be tested with other people's money as well. There may be times that you have to stand with integrity when maybe you could have been manipulative. Or times where you will have to be ethical when you could get away with something. So Pluto in the second house maybe puts you into some ethical binds where you have to show who you are and rise from the ash. Okay, I hope that was helpful. That's the second house. I will continue to make these videos and work my way around the chart. If you have very specific questions or want to know more about your chart, leave me a comment, send me an email. Happy to help. Thank you for joining. Your stars within. This is Little Wave.